Good evening, all. We, on behalf of the SREC Alumni Association and the Department of Computer Science Engineering, welcome you all for the 69th webinar talk. Mobile Application Testing and Automation. We welcome our Principal Ma'am, Speaker of the Day, Mr. Dilip, faculty members, current students, and all alumni friends. Mr. Dilip is currently working as a software engineer at PayPal Bangalore. He has got 8 years of experience in web and mobile application. Personally, he works, previously he has worked with Haradoc, News UK, and Cognizant. He also engages himself in social service since his school days. He also writes tech articles, presents tech talk, and teaches school students. He loves to play volleyball and cricket. Over to you, Dilip.
Yeah, thanks, Vasanth, for the introduction. And I guess hope you are all doing good and safe during this pandemic time. It's good to see coming back to the college days and delivering a kind of a guest lecture to where took the things and grown to this level, and then to share my 8 year of journeys with my faculties as well as the juniors who joined in this call. Without getting delayed, so I have prepared very short slides. I'm sure this particular audience may not like complete technical talk, right? So I haven't prepared slide decks detailing the structure, frameworks, or architecture. It's very quite simple slides. Hope I will not bore you in the next 30 minutes. So let me share my screen. One second. Is my screen visible?
Yes, Dilip.
Nice. That's cool. So mobile application testing and automation. So we'll just touch base why mobile application testing going to play a critical role in the upcoming years. And there are so many tools available for automating the mobile apps. We are not going to discuss the automating tools. We'll just discuss why do we need to automate things to save our manual efforts. All right. So that's the agenda or the one-liner, I could say. Right. We'll get into the next slider. So before we get into the session or the talk, so I would like to know like how many of you are involved in software testing or writing piece of codes at your work. Please feel to say and hello, unmute yourself. So it will be good to know, right? So always a silence. So I take it's no people are involved in software testing and writing test codes at work. Okay. So coming to
Yes,
software.
sir. I am involved in software testing and writing codes, but I mostly employ MATLAB code testing.
Nice. Cool. Good to know that. So other audience may find it interesting then. That's what I wanted to convey. Yeah, cool. So we'll get into the software validation and software verification. So we have two terms. One we call it as software validation and then software verification. Software verification usually speak like whether we are testing the product, right, or building the product, right. But the software validation, right? So I wanted to have this storyboard with you guys to explain what is software validation, right? So so I have a customer and the customer just wants a swing, and then he has a two ropes and tried on a branch of a tree, and then he describes in a way that it has level 1, level 2, level 3, right? It depicts in the first picture. So how a project leader understood it's like he got the 2 ropes and he got the a bench, but he got it as one bench, and instead of a single branch, he got it as 2 branches. So you have the branch on the 2 ropes on 2 different branches and a seating place. So when a design team develops that idea, so how they are developing that? So same, they have the two. So how the project leader conveyed. So there is a 2 branches, and then inside 2 branches there is a 2 ropes. So he have built in the same way, but he added something additional to it. Like he added an extra support on either side of this 2 branches. So meaning that the tree is not going to support this particular swing, right? So once a programmer develops it, so he got it in a way, so he didn't get the dimension, how long this rope to be and how long it has to, whether it has to, from the feet, how long it should be. So he doesn't have any information. So he have 2 ropes and it's tied to the tree, right? So, but how a business consultant explains it to the client, right? So adding flavors to the things that they develop. So it's like a kind of a sofa or cushion, right, to the branch of the tree, right? So whether we have any documentations what client told or the phases that the project went through. So is there any documentations that happens here? So nothing. So we don't have any documented. So depicted in this picture, right? So once the software has been developed, so when we get into the deployment, right? So it is like this. There is the deployment or the operation installation is getting paid, and how a customer is getting paid for it is like he paid huge cost. He is paying like an roller coaster, right? So we charge them like that. Right. So once after we deploy things at the customer side, after that we don't do any maintenance support. So it will be like vended like this. So at the end, but what the customer required is like he just required a swing and a rope and it to tie to a single branch, right? So this particular last picture tells the or conveys the requirement of the software, but the validation of the software is right. So it when it passes through the different stages, so the understanding is different. So the building the product itself is right wrong. So this is, we call that as a software validation in software industry, right? So are we building the right product to our customer? So whenever a customer comes to you and then he will be like, you are an engineer and you know better what he wants, right? So he will come and tell you what you wanted to build, right? So he may have a blind idea about something he wanted to build and convey rough idea with you. So as an engineer, right, or a technical person, you have to understand him and you have to educate him that this is how the project has to be built, right? So the first step is the software validation, right? Building the right product, right? So next, software testing. So it's like testing, building the product, right? So I just have a small 1-minute video. So I'll just play it. Hope the video music is visible to you, like audible to you. Should be fine. Sorry, the audio is not proper. I think the audio is not here audible, right? That should be fine. Rubber. என்ன చేశారా తల సుట్టులో இப்போ సుట్టో పాదు Soldiers, put in your heads. Yeah. Is my voice is audible, right?
No,
Yes,
the
sir.
video had
Yes,
sound, Dilip. Everything was audible. Yeah.
Is the video was audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
That's interesting. So that's so just to determine the software testing, right? So identify the bugs, right? So that's a very important for any software industry. So are they building the product very right? So even though they have the requirement wrong, but the are we building that product with that requirement, right? So that's an interesting like a funny video. So getting to the mobile testing area. So why we can build a career in mobile testing, right? So this is an interesting stat that I could share with you. Like if you see in 2021, so there are 3.6 k million users, mobile users, and this trend is increasing for the next 5 years. And there is an approximate of 17 percentage increase we can see in the smartphone consumer industry, right? So with the increasing like smartphone uses, so I would like to convey you right the percentage of app uses, right? So if you have an app and then you use the mobile phone, so there are around 85 percentage of the traffic of the application traffic from the mobile phone come from the application that is downloaded from the respective stores. So given in that mind, so the smartphone uses so will directly proportional that you will have the smartphone apps also will play a vital role in everyone's life, right? So with this note, so just any idea? So I will have a first time like uh, the number of apps that is currently available in the App Store and the Play Store. Any idea you anyone have? Just give it a number. Just give it a try. Approximate number would be fine. Cool. So I'll give the numbers. So approximately, if you see in the App Store, right, iOS App Store, it's around 2.5 million apps. Maybe may not be the active apps, but around 2.5 million apps. And then when you go to the Android Play Store apps, so there are 30 million apps. Sorry, 3 million apps. So given in this a huge number, right? So we have so many applications built. Uh, Say, for example, if you wanted a calculator, you wanted to download a calculator, you can see that n number of calculators are available for any purpose, right? So how our app, how can we attract our audience, right? So audience are the users of the apps. So our app should be very quality, right? The quality of the app should be very good. So that's how we can attract the people to use our mobile phones. Right. So getting into that area, so we'll discuss on the types of the mobile apps that we use today. Right. So there are three types we majorly call. So one is a native app, second is web app, and then the third is a hybrid app. Okay. So native app to give an just simple. So that is by default programming language. Say when it in iOS applications built with iOS components with Xcode or Android applications that is built with Android Studio, Kotlin language, right? So and complete native support. So we call that particular application we call as native apps. So the web app is called as the responsive web design apps. So that is any URL apps that is coming via mobile apps. So that we call it as a responsive web app. And hybrid app is a combination of both. So inside a native app, so we'll have a WebView container where you will display the WebView components. So that may be written in React JS or any other web scripting language that's supported by native apps. So the understanding these types of apps, right? So whenever we test an application, we have to understand which type of application we are testing. So whether we are testing a native app, whether we are testing a web app or a hybrid app, right? So that is also very important. And coming to the uh, testing complexity, right? So we have mobile apps and then the web apps, right? So what makes the testing complex more in mobile apps when comparing to the web apps? Both are the same, right? So the apps are the same, but the test complexity is very huge when compared to that of web apps. So, but the reason behind is the web apps, the distribution of the app is on the URL. And so in order to have that particular application to be consumed by the user, so he have to access from the web any Chrome, Safari, IE, or Edge, any browser, right? So the testing scope on the browser is limited, that we have 4 browsers, and we can test that 4 browsers in the current version of the Chrome, or n-1 version of the Chrome, right? So it is very limited, right? So when it comes to the mobile apps, so we test the mobile apps, right? So you have the same web app rendering on the mobile screen apps as well. So it means that you have to put the same effort that what you have to go into, what you are going to do in the web app. So the same effort you have to do it in the mobile apps as well, right? So it can be Safari app, it can be an Opera, right, or any browser app. So the same effort you have to do it in mobile apps. And what add more complexity to the mobile apps, right? So there are wide variety of device coverage, right? So approximately there are around 45,000 or more than that Android models are available in the market. Um, so we cannot have all the models and then having tested it properly, but we'll have the majority of the users consumed mobile devices we will take into consideration, and will test it in this device. Apart from this, we have different screen sizes. So, and some people be having 4.5-inch screen, whether 5-inch screen, 6-inch screen. So the device screen will also play a vital role. And then the screen resolution of the devices. Say my app has to support in iPhone as well as the iPad, and my app has to support in the phones as well as the tablet. So the different screen size we have to support the app. So again, the testing complexity is getting increased. And coming to that, so we need to test in the hardware OS specific as well, right? So Android 11, Android 10, Android 9, Android 8, and then respective versions, and then iOS 13, 12, right? 11, 10, the respective versions of iOS as well, because each and every device has its own specific features, so that supports the native apps. And also, apart from this, the device hardwares, right? So when web will not have the authentications mechanism, so whether it will be a password or an OTP that we receive. But when it comes to the mobile apps, we may have the face recognition ID, or text fingerprint, and then um, uh, retina scanning, right? So there are different types of authentication mechanism. So given what happens when an user doesn't have that authentication, how it works, right? So the complexity of testing is very huge. So given that complexity in mobile apps, so the demand of testing is growing in mobile industry, right? So let me given this scenario, see, the functional testing remains the same. So if you have any feature, so login, logout, search, right? So for example, so the feature is going to be the same, right? When you test in the web as well as in the mobile app, so the feature testing or the functional testing will going to be remains the same. So we have to write our test cases, what you have to do. We have to create test plans, right? So based on that, we'll be giving the sign-offs for the respective features. Apart from that, so what are the other functional non-requirement testing that we have to do, right? So that is something that is very unique when it comes to the mobile testing, right? So one is the installation. So installation is maybe so there are two types, I could say. So that one, we call it as a fresh installation. So once you download an app from the Play Store or the App Store, you directly install that app on your device. Okay, so that we call it as a fresh installation. Sometimes what happens is, like, when you try to install it, so I had an incident in my past organization. Okay, so it is a very big company. So it's the company is News UK. So it is the the #1 newspaper company, okay, in London. So what happened is, my developer, we test in stage environment and give the sign off in stage environment, right? And then when it goes to the production, it points to the production environment. Okay, so what my developer did is, so he failed to add a condition. So we had a migration on that release. Migration is some like on the push notification migration we had on the release. So he gave the staging keys to the production. Okay, so we tested staging environment and looks fine, and we gave the sign off and the product, it went to the production. But what happened eventually once you install the app, right? So you see that the app installation has failed on the production. Why? Because it is pointing to the staging environment, right? So these are something that may happen in the production, whereas in web deployment, so the deployment will be happening in the real time. So like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, you deploy the code, so it will be available to the customer. But when it comes to the mobile app, right? So it is not the similar way. What you have to do, so we have to create our release apps, and then we have to submit that apps in the respective app stores. Okay, so Play Store, say for example, when an app is submitted to the Play Store, okay, so it may take 6-7 hours to get it verified by the Play Store team, and then after getting the approval, so we release the app to the initial beta users for some time. So things looks fine. So then we roll out to 10% of the users, and then 20%. So things are cool. Then we release it to the 100% of users, right? So when it comes to the iOS, so similar fashion. So the release approval time may take 1 day effort. 1 day we have to wait for the approval from the Apple, and then once we submit that app to the Apple, uh, the app will be released. So in similar fashion, we will be releasing in 10%, 12, 20%, right? So see, is there any crash that is coming? So that we will be discussing in the next slider. Okay. So given in that time, so you released an app to the Play Store and App Store with the code that you have has the staging key. Okay, so what does it require? So it needs an app release. So you need to again submit an app to the App Store or Play Store. So again, you have to make the feature wait for a 1 day. But these are something critical that may happen when in mobile testing. So installation or the upgradation testing is a very critical role as part of non-functional requirement testing. And then the usability, right? So as per the design, we may have the feature login. Say, for example, you have the login screen, and the login screen has a username, password, and the submit button. So you have it, the information properly available on it. But what happens is, say, in a smaller screen devices, the user submit button is truncated. It is not visible to the user, right? So what happens? The usability of that particular user on that particular device is a question mark for the business, right? So considering that, so whether the buttons are accessible to everyone, right? So that is we cover it, and then usability, and we cover the performance of the app, right? Performance, right? So previous version of the app, when you log in, so when you search for uh, anything on that, for example, we take Amazon example. So we search for a product, the product displays in 2 seconds. Okay, right. So but when you release, and we are building a new component over there, and then when you do that, so if that performance is degraded like 4 seconds, right? So that is the performance lag will happen. So these things that we have to be covering in the performance. So after that, we cover the memory leak. So memory leak is something like, so whatever we store, right, as get the information on the response from on the app. So we store that as part of the app data, right? So what happens? So say when you move from one screen to the other screen, you may not need the data of the previous screen, right? So you need the data of fresh screen. So what happens? So it's like a stack. You place things over there. So you don't need the information of the previous things, right? So whether the user have coded in a way that are you not having that memory leaks of the previous screens, right? So these are things that may not be visible when you do a functional testing, right? So when you do a functional testing, these things will not be visible to you. Memory leaks will not be visible to you. So you have to catch it in the code. Okay. So then the interruptions. So what happens when you are testing in the app? So suddenly a push notification from another app comes. So how your app behaves, right? What happens when a call you get from a friend? So when you are using the app, right? So these kind of interruption testings, right? So it's also a part of the non-functional. And then we do have metrics to calculate, like what is the app launch time, right? So these are and the app size, and then the network calls, how much time it is taking for an API to respond back to the app. So these are some of the non-functional requirement testing. So each and everything has a huge number of things to play for a simple app that we configure in our day-to-day life. So this increases again the importance of the mobile application testing. Right? So these are some of the scope area for any tester. So when he gradually move from an web testing to a mobile application testing. So given this, so I'll just I think I covered just an hints of this thing. So I'll just move on to the next slider. So I thought of discussing the some of the crash incidents that I had. So that may be like a lesson how our mobile testing industries work, right? So one crash incident was like so we had the functional testing like functional testing, regression testing covered properly, and we released the app to the respective store. And what happened is like after an hour, so we have around I think 10 or 20 lakhs of users using the app. Okay, but we started seeing that the 3 to 4 lakhs of users are facing a crash issue. Okay, so we don't have a clue what is happening on the customer's device. So because it is working properly on our testing environment production, we don't see that particular use case getting failed for the most number of users, right? So we started like understanding what happened, right? So and when we find the root cause, so it took 1 day for us to understand the root cause, why it is getting crashed on certain devices, not on all the devices. So this is very interesting note to all the like every individual who uses your mobile phones. So you may see and for example, I search a product in Amazon, and I come back to my app, and then I see this similar product of the advertisement coming to the app, right? So these are something we see why I searched here, why it is coming here. It is a question mark to the privacy of any user, right? So that is like, so there is a unique device or advertisement identifier for any user. Okay, so that whether I wanted to share that device identifier to my app, or I should not share that to the app, right? So that as can be controlled from your device setting screen. Okay, so you just go inside your device setting, and then you see for advertisement identifiers, so you will see that. So if you turn it off, okay, so your device identifier will not be shared with that user. So it is not by default, it is not as part of use case, but what happened, so this was something that certain number of users have made their device identifier turned on their settings of their phone, so which crossed the app. So because of that, we have to roll out our release that we went live, and then we have to root cause it, we have to make it as an hotfix, and then we have to release the app the next day, right? So these are some of the things that you may not know when it's part of a web testing. So will not be a similar case will be there, right? Similar case will be there in web testing as well. But what happens when an user faces a crash user in mobile, and when a user that faces an internal 500 error in a website, right? So if you find a website that is not working, right? You see a 500 internal error, right? So you can understand that it is a server issue, and the app might be available after for you for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So if the team is notified, so they will redeploy their code and then make their cloud environment perfect, so that you will may have the access to the app in next 20, 30 minutes. But when it comes to the mobile app, if an user start facing a crash issue, right? You press an login button, and then you see that things are getting blank, and then you cannot do what you wanted to do with that app, right? So it creates the frustrations to the user, and he may write bad review comments for you on your Play Store, and it is visible to every one of the like the customer who is going to download your app. So that is something a critical issues when it comes to an mobile app. So having all the crash issues as a P1s and then fixing that, right? So this is one such incident. So everything was good on our side, but there was something that happened on the settings, right? So they have to crash, right? So this is a very simple example. So when you go to the payment industries and the mobile healthcare industry, right? So or the insurance, right? So we are doing millions of transactions every second and things. So there should be if a particular user's information is violated or any such privacy of the user is become a question mark, right? So the reputation of the company will be in a question mark, and it will be a huge loss to the business, right? So these are very critical things when you do a mobile testing. So and that makes your role very critical in any and foreigner company having you like as a gatekeeper for quality for making any release of the app. So given that, all the time we will not be able to like write manually test the features all the time, right? So we should have the end-to-end test cases getting automated. So in that way, we'll have and relaxing time to test the feature that is going in your release. So the regression test cases, say 300 test cases you have in regression. So you have a release day of 2 days. So and you have to run all the uh, 300 test cases in 2 days. So it's going to be a nightmare for any tester, right? So given that is the constraint, so only way any industry can achieve that is with the automation test. So that is why we can detect the bugs earlier. So that is we have our automated test as part of development branch. So what happens whenever a development writes code and then we push to a CA, the CA execute our UI unit test as well, plus the user journey tests. So what happens? So in case any case or the flow is getting failed, so he may get to know from the CI itself, he can detect the bug and then he can fix it and provided a bill in the same build itself. So that is one advantage. And then we can get the frequent feedbacks, so we can directly like whenever there is things. So this will improve your faster delivery cycles. So working with for companies, so always we do a release app release in 2 weeks. That is 2 weeks is a sprint for us. Like in a 2 weeks we release. So that time having regression for 2 days, 3 days. So we will be getting the bills delivered delayed from our developers. So this makes us an delivery rates or cycles even more faster. So you have more number of release, so no number of test cases automated. So you eventually bring that release week of 2 weeks to 1 week. So we will have the faster time to market for our product. And then the flexibility. So this will have more flexible environment for us to like have a breathing space to test. So our testing will be so reliable. And then once you write a test and then you have a maintenance in phase, so that will reduce the cost. Okay. So given that like mobile apps and importance of mobile apps for the next 5 years and building a career of mobile apps testing, right? Uh, Understanding the tools. So what are the two major tools that is like in a forerunner in today's mobile industry, right? So there are so many tools. We can take Appium, Cucumberish, or WebDriver IO. Many tools are Any other questions we can take?
Yeah, Dilip beautifully explained. A non-IT guy like me was able to understand something about this topic. Really good. Thank you so much for putting it in very light words. Beautifully explained. Thank you once again. Yeah.
Thank you, Vasanth. So
And yeah, my question for you is that is there any mobile app really developed without a single bug?
No, no.
Okay, okay.
So like in PayPal also, like we have a lot many bugs in production. So we call that as an once we test it, so the app will be available to the whole company. So everyone can install the app and then check whether they can find bugs. And it's kind of a bug bounty internal program. So if you find any bugs that is not reported by the testing team and it is very critical, and then it has to be addressed. So you will be awarded, apart from your salary, you will be paid more. And you can see like those things are happening in outside as well. So you report any security bug or any bugs that is related to the app to any specific company, right? So you get awarded.
Great. Thank you. Now, audience, if we have no other questions, Dilip and Vasanth, shall we go for the closing remarks?
Yeah. So it will be very formal to thank everyone. So it is again where I learned things. So giving back to the same place, it's an very I feel so much pleasure. So thanks for the opportunity, and hope I didn't spoil your weekend mood. So it was very nice, like having this particular time and then getting collaborated with the alumni of ours. So a nice initiative. So I mean, last time so visited college and good to see so many people turned up. So this will be very useful for the alumni to grow. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Yeah. So we have today in the audience from the first batch, we have Vasanth sir from US as well as Veena ma'am from the first batch 94 to 98. A special thanks for the first batch for instituting the Dr. Mohammed Zakaria Memorial Scholarship, one-time scholarship for our students. And a special mention about today is that because they have sponsored for two students the whole 100% tuition fee. Thank you, first batch. This is the first webinar after the scholarship distribution, so I thought I will put it on record. I wish you take this thank you note from the Alumni Association to your batchmates. Thank you, Vasanth sir and Veena ma'am. Thank you. So that was yes, ma'am. Please.
Sure, Thomas. Thank you so much. We definitely will take it back. Vasanth is also on the call today, and we'll. I have already informed the group, but again we'll take it. And that you said thanks, and this is just an act of something that we want to do back for our alma mater. So I think what we were trying to do is larger than larger than life. Types. So we want to do more, and we'll definitely come back to contribute more to the college. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So that was Dilip from the batch 2013 Computer Science Engineering. Thank you, Dilip, for being here for the webinar talk number 69.
Yes, sir. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Your presence have made this day memorable, and the evening is meaningful with your talk. Thank you, Dilip. Thank you, audience, for being here. We had audience from all over the globe, like from US, represented by Vasanth sir, and many others in the call. Thank you so much. Thank you, student friends, for being here. Thank you, Department of Computer Science Engineering, the head of the department, and our own alumni faculty, Krishna Kumar, for roping in Dilip for this webinar talk number 69. Thank you, one and all. Thank you. Thank you.